Good evening and many thanks for joining us live on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibentu Drame. In tonight's top stories. The ML Heart Foundation, a non-profit organization, on Friday bade farewell to 6 children who will be traveling to Turkey for cardiac surgery. Let's Fight Endo, a non-profit organization involved in the fight against endometriosis, on Saturday held its annual awareness raising campaign about the disease. 15 people from various sectors have undergone training on mental health awareness and care, organized by the NGO House of Hope and Partners. Birkama Area Council on Friday presented checks amounting to over $1.9 million to 2 communities in the West Coast region. And in sports news, Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador for Youth and Sports, Tijan Jaite, has been appointed Umbro Sportswear Country Manager. Those were our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, the ML Heart Foundation, a non-profit organization, on Friday bade farewell to 6 children who will be traveling to Turkey for cardiac surgery. This is the 4th batch of patients to be sent for such treatments. Omar Pejalo has the rest of that story.
The medical bills for the 6 patients, travel expenses, feeding and accommodation are all facilitated by ML Heart Foundation with support from partners in Turkey and the Gambia. At the ceremony held at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul, the Deputy Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Charles Roberts, commended ML Heart Foundation and partners for the humanitarian gesture and assured the hospital's continuous support and partnership.
In the hospital here, we've had a lot of children who have come from various backgrounds with different heart conditions. A lot of them congenital, meaning they were born with it. And for a lot of them, we don't really have the definitive treatment for them because some of them need operations, which is not possible here in the Gambia.
Modlamin Kamara, the founder of ML Heart Foundation, spoke on his foundation's activities, achievements and constraints as well as plans, while appealing for more support to increase the number of beneficiaries.
Since the inception of ML Heart Foundation, so far 7 patients successfully had their surgery through the effort of our foundation in collaboration with our partner in Turkey. Just recently, we received invitation from hospital in Turkey for another batch of patients, 11 patients. The team will commence work to process their visas as soon as possible, inshallah. Our plan is to send a batch of patients every month, depending on the availability of funds for patients with 1 escort, except for air ticket fee, which is paid, and the accommodation, which is paid by the partner, with my partner in Turkey.
Dr. Lamin E.S. Jaite, a cardiologist at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, described cardio disease as common and deadly, especially among children, adding that the disease is only curable through surgery, which is not available in the Gambia.
More than 75% of the children with heart problem have rheumatic heart disease. Even though it is a preventable disease, unfortunately in Africa we can't prevent it yet. And unfortunately as well, we
requiring surgical interventions overseas, but cannot afford to finance for such procedures and trips. Presently, the foundation have 11 patients on their waiting list whose request has been accepted and are just waiting to receive invitations from the hospital in Turkey to commence their travel arrangements. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Let's Fight Endo, a non-profit organization involved in the fight against endometriosis, on Saturday held its 2nd annual awareness raising campaign about the disease, which affects nearly 200 million women and girls around the world. Momodu Laminchoy has more on this story.
Endometriosis is a word not readily recognizable to many, but it is a painful disease that affects about 190 million women and girls around the world, according to the World Health Organization. It is a health condition where tissue that lines the inside of the uterus or womb is present outside of the uterus. It causes very painful menstrual cramps and may make it harder to get pregnant. In the Gambia, Let's Fight Endo, a non-profit organization, is leading the sensitization campaign about the disease through an annual Walk for Awareness event. It is an important occasion for the organization, some of whose members have been diagnosed with endometriosis, which explains why they have taken the lead in this awareness-raising campaign. Fatou Jam, the founder and CEO of Let's Fight Endo, was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2010, and she shares her painful experience in an emotional address.
And if endometriosis destroys your fallopian tube, your uterus, once you get married, you can't have a child. And we all know how Gambia is. We all know how our society is. If you get married without a child, the stigma that surrounds it is really depressing. It's hurtful. So I am not married anymore. I'm divorced. Because guess what? I didn't have a child with my husband. So my husband decided to get married behind my back without telling me because I didn't get, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have a child together. You understand what I'm saying? So this is something that I don't want any of you guys to go through. So please.
Symptoms associated with endometriosis vary, and they include a combination of painful period, chronic pelvic pain, pain during and or after sexual intercourse, painful bowel movement, abdominal bloating and nausea. Fabian Aina Grant Sanya is a principal health researcher at the Ministry of Health.
So I want to call everybody's attention. Once you are experiencing such, the first aid that you should do is to communicate with your parents to give an aid. If the parents don't understand, the parents should take you to the nearest health facility to see the OBGYN, the obstetrician gynecologist, or the even nurse midwife to explain to you about this endometriosis. Because we should not ignore about this. It is life-threatening, and also it can affect the individual lifelong.
There is ongoing research by scientists to find a cure for the disease, but the world still awaits a breakthrough. However, there are some recommended treatments to ease the symptoms. Dr. Nafi Sise, a specialist in family medicine, begins her speech by acknowledging the resource constraints facing countries like the Gambia in accessing treatment for endometriosis.
And medications such, I believe in Gambia, it's called Brufen or something like that. And even paracetamol are things that you can take sometimes to kind of help with the pain. And you can do things like using hot water bottles sometimes when you have this pain. But when somebody has chronic pain, every month you have debilitating pain. Every month you are looking forward to this pain that you feel like it's gonna end your life, right? Mentally, you start to kind of, lose your cool a little bit. And this can cause things like depression, just like she had eloquently talked about.
The cause for endometriosis is still unknown, but heredity appears to be part of the puzzle because the condition tends to run in families and affects people of certain groups more than others, according to experts. The awareness-raising event by Let's Fight Endo provides for sufferers and their carers relevant knowledge about endometriosis and an advocacy platform to continue raising awareness. Mahmoud Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Moving on, 15 people from various sectors have undergone training on mental health awareness and care organized by the NGO House of Hope in partnership with No Health Without Mental Health, the Gambia. Momodu Gajaga attended the press briefing where details of the training were shared, and this is his report.
These people have been trained on mental health awareness through a technique known as narrative exposure therapy. House of Hope, in collaboration with partners, including Friends of Asylum Seekers, provided the training with funding from Skemit's Stifungen. The 4-week training drew participants from the health sector, NGOs, and the security services. Bakari Sanko, project coordinator for No Health Without Mental Health, the Gambia, explains mental health challenges in the country.
Some of the key challenges in terms of mental health services in the Gambia is human resource. Now, we have a limited number of trained specialized personnel to provide mental health and behavioral services across the length and breadth of the Gambia and the Gambians who need it. And people who might be in the Gambia, they might not be Gambians, but they still need the services. Now, that human resource capacity there's a limitation. 2, we don't have enough or adequate finances to address national mental health programs.
Sanabairo Sabali, country director of House of Hope, says mental health is important and there should be more awareness about its issues.
This mental health issue, it is the responsibility of every individual, like Kasumka rightly put it. Every individual is important, whether it's the ministry or other sectors from different communities, but every individual should take it upon yourself to make sure that the community in which we live are enlightened as to what is exactly mental health issues in our community.
Priska Law, the CEO of one of the supporting partner NGOs, Friends of Asylum Seekers FKA, and she says her organization saw the need to support those living with mental health illness.
We thought it's something which is very adapting or is good for African tradition, because African tradition is a narrative tradition. And we made that, we started there in 2018, we qualified about more than 50 people, and we also qualified master counselors, so they are able to train others.
Trainer Mam Aminatun Dong says mental health disorders such as post-traumatic stress are caused by extreme fear, accidents and severe depression, and sufferers require specialized attention.
We mainly focus on traumatic patients to give them the narrative exposure therapy after counseling them. Although it's not so common in Africa, but it has been working well.
One of the beneficiaries of the training is Amadou D. Jallo, a mental health nurse at the Kanifing General Hospital, gives us an overview of the training and its importance.
This is, a good move in which, capacity has been built, and then, knowledge has been inculcated in us to help our clients with post-traumatic stress disorder.
According to the WHO in the Gambia, it is estimated that about 120,000 people have mental disorders requiring treatment, and more than 20% of them have severe conditions. However, in an average year, only 3,000 or so people receive treatment. This training is therefore important for understanding mental health problems and the solutions to them. Momudu Gajaga, QTV News.
From that story, we will go for a short commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories, so stay tuned.
What is at stake in this National Assembly election?
What are the local issues of the constituencies?
What do citizens expect of their parliamentarians?
QTV is the platform to answer these and many more questions.
From March 21st, QTV will bring you live daily debates between candidates across the country.
To gain an insight into your candidates program, tune in at 9 p.m. on QTV.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Now, Birkama Area Council on Friday presented checks amounting to over $1.9 million to the development committees of Birkama Nema and Burfoot for community projects. Abibatu Sisi has more.
The money is meant to support the reconstruction of the Burfoot Central Market, which according to residents was built in the colonial days and is in urgent need of renovation. Modu Jonga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Birkama Area Council, says as one of the fast-growing communities, Burfoot needs a standard market. He adds that the check for $450,000 is presented to Birkama Nema Development Committee is part of the council's initiatives to help communities with street lights to enhance public safety.
Our counterpart contribution for the Burfoot markets amounts to the sum of $2 million. This represents 27% of the project cost. And today we will present the sum of $1.5 million with an outstanding balance of $500,000 to be paid in due course. The $450,000 checks for Birkama Nema is part of our final counterpart contribution to the streetlight component of the NEMA revitalization project. Our first counterpart contribution was paid in the second quarter of last year of the same amount, which was $450,000. In total, we have contributed the sum of $900,000 for the provision of 120 solar streetlights. Out of the 200 streetlights, the community has provided 80 streetlights as part of the streetlight component.
Ansubi Onyas is the ward councillor for Brikama NEMA ward.
We were able to have contributions from the area council to make sure that the projects are implemented, and thanks to God, it has been done. The area council have contributed last year, like the CEO said, in the first quarter they gave us 450,000, and today also they are giving us another 450,000. We are saying a big thanks to Jonga and his staff.
Brufut Development Committee received a check for $1.5 million. Suleiman Kinte, the councillor for Brufut Ward, says the market is in a strategic location and when completed, will have a garage for easy access to goods and services. Ibrahim Ajata, the chairman of Casa Gambia, a non-profit organization based in Brufut, says the Brikama Area Council is funding part of the project while other partners of Brufut will fund the rest.
Area Council actually contribution of 27%, which will amount to $1,950,000, which rounded to $2 million. Actually constituted 27% of the entire budget. So the other sum of money will actually come from the Brufut diaspora. Of course, a segment of them is the Friends of Brufut in Seattle in America. And of course, our able partners in Holland, they're called Wilde Gansa.
Malamin Kajor Mane, the Alcalo of Brufut, and Aja Nyama Mane, president of Brufut Market Committee, both thanked the council for its intervention to rebuild the Brufut market. The Brikama Area Council has supported communities with development projects in its strive to improve the lives of tax-paying communities in the West Coast region. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
The Gambia Scout Association on Thursday began a 3-day capacity building training on diversity, inclusion and gender equality for 30 Scout coordinators. Omar Pijalo tells us more.
The training is sponsored by the World Scout Bureau Africa Support Center and aims to make Boy Scouts and Girls champions of gender equality. Fatu M. Jallo, the Chief Commissioner of the Gambia Scout Association, believes if equality in scouting is to be achieved, meaningful membership, women and girls' participation and leadership are essential.
Through this training, we seek to introduce the concept of diversity and inclusion to become champions of gender equality, exposing the 30 participants to diversity and inclusion, sharing best practices on diversity and inclusion, gender equality, under which we will be looking at He4C, sexual reproductive health and rights, gender-based violence, project development, policy development, scouting for all.
Sekou Sanyang, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Youth and Sport, says the Gambia government is committed to improving gender equality, starting with increased awareness and representation in all institutions.
As part of the government's mission to achieve gender equality and equity at policy, program, and project levels in all institutions within the country under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and at all levels across the sectors of the Gambian society, we encourage all stakeholder institutions to achieve at least 30% women representation at all levels and ensure domestication of international conventions on gender is established.
Rugashon and Kalishan Oching are consultants from the Africa Scout Diversity and Inclusion from Kenya.
We've already started on quite a high note today, and your participation has been really, really good, and we really appreciate the way you are so involved in the trainings. And I'm sure when you go back after this training, you'll be able to run your programs and even make them even much better.
The ultimate aim of this workshop is to support the Gambia Scout Association to have a policy framework in diversity and inclusion, that they will base their activities, their projects and programs to be inclusive, not only by design, but also by participation and inclusion of all young people and all genders.
During this training, the Gambia Scout Association is expected to develop its national diversity and inclusion policy. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Now let's take a quick look at some interesting sports news. Now, Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador for Youth and Sports, Tijan Jaite, has been appointed Umbro Sportswear Country Manager. His appointment is expected to help promote sports in the Gambia, and Sumane Esonyasi reports.
It was just 2 weeks ago that Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador for Youth and Sports, Tijan Jaite, presented sporting materials worth almost $1 million to President Adama Barrow for youths engaged in various sporting disciplines in the country. Ambassador Jaite explains how the coming of Umbro, a popular global sportswear, will help transform sports in the country, adding that he is already working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports to collaborate and support all sporting disciplines in the country.
It makes me very proud and really give me more motivation, and I believe that this is a big turning point in Gambian sports, and especially in trying to acquire quality sporting material which will come at a very good and cheap and quality product. Yeah.
An Umbro fan himself, Ambassador Jaite has been one of few Gambian professional athletes to use the brand during his active playing days.
If a company like Umbro, who is really renowned for its work in sports for the past years, want to partner with the Gambia, and Umbro, their intention is to come and have a long-term partnership that will try to help our sports development here in the Gambia. And this is the key point here, which I am very, very proud to try to encourage Umbro to help our grassroots sports and to help our sport development.
Many sporting disciplines in the Gambia continue to face the challenge of having to provide quality and affordable sport gears for our national athletes. Thus, the coming of Umbro Sportswear is a strong commitment by the Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador for Youth and Sports to support Gambian sports. Answane Sonyasi for QTV News.
Congratulations to his appointment. But before we end, here's a recap of our main headlines. The ML Heart Foundation, a non-profit organization, on Friday bade farewell to 6 children who are traveling to Turkey for cardiac surgery. Let's Fight Endo, a non-profit organization involved in the fight against endometriosis, on Saturday held its annual awareness raising campaign about the disease. 16 people from various sectors have undergone training on mental health awareness and care, organized by the NGO House of Hope and partners. The Brikama Area Council on Friday presented checks amounting to over $1.9 million to the development committees of Brikama, Nema and Burfoot for community projects. And in sports news, Gambia's Goodwill Ambassador for Youth and Sports, Tijan Jaite, has been appointed Umbro Sportswear Country Manager. Well, that's it from me in tonight's edition. Thank you for watching.